Alrighty. Good morning. Hopefully you can hear me. The beauty of streaming and Streamlabs is that you switch over from Twitch to YouTube. It completely eliminates your settings. You have to like rebuild everything from scratch. So if you're out there and you're listening, say hi. And yeah, we're gonna do some Viggens stuff. I don't know how to set up things I can actually see on the map. I know that's kind of a new thing, but I don't know how to do it. I wish I did. Hey, Red Rider, thanks for that. Appreciate you. Good morning. Yeah, I don't know how to make, what do you call them? Things, markers on the map so that you can see it in game. If anyone knows, you can tell me. So like when I go into, what I'm saying is when I start the mission, I want to be able to spot this target on the map without revealing the bad guys. I don't know how to do it. There's a new way. I guess I should watch a Grim Reaper's video. Not a trigger. Well, yeah, could. No, but I mean on the map, like not like Thread has on our server where he's got the zones, you know. No, like the zones where it'll say stuff. I don't know what it's called. Probably be helpful if I knew what it was called. Ooh, no. Yeah, like on the map. Like, okay, I'm in the mission editor right now. Here, we'll just see what I mean. All right. All right, so here I am. Excuse me. In aircraft. I have no idea where the fuck I'm going. I mean, I know it's over here, but how do I make that some sort of indication? Thread magic, yeah. Well, it's something they added new to the update. I think it was 2.7, but somewhere in there. I just don't know how to do it. It's 3 p.m. I gotcha. Hey, what's going on, friend? Okay, well, I don't know how to do it. I also don't know how to turn on the cockpit lighting. There's I don't need it. It'd be cool. Should be in the mission settings. I don't think so. I don't know. I'm gonna have to talk to Thread, see what he says, because he does it. Alright. Because I don't know how to calculate. Well, there's a lot of things I don't know. That's fine. That's fine. Target 4. I think it's target. Okay, yep. B4 is my target. Right. Well, we are at here. We should have bombs. So I need to select bombs. The attack. Or no, I'm sorry. We have rockets. The attack. Alright. I think we're good. Cockpit lighting at your left hip under the gear lever. I don't know which one the gear lever. Is this the gear? The data entry card just above it. Like here? Ugh, I need to get that cockpit mod so I can put all this crap in English. Anyway, it's fine. I don't need it. I've set everything up. Left all the way to the back. I'll find it. It's all good.
Enfield 1-1. Kataisi, clear to taxi to runway 7.
Trying to put together a mission. Have a like a 4 Viggen strike on something, so I'm just sort of doing some testing. That was it. I was over it. Okay. Yeah, I'll play around with it. I need to get into like Chuck's guide or something. Literally, I know nothing about the Viggen that I haven't learned from Happy doing the couple of videos we've done recently. So. Yeah, I miss it. I'm like on a 20-second delay from you guys, so by the time you tell me it's right there, I'm already on to the next thing. All good. I have to say, I'm kind of liking the Viggen. I didn't think that I would. I'll be honest, I'd never heard of it until DCS. No idea it existed, but it is kind of fun. I think it's rewarding on aircraft like this where it's all these buttons and gauges when you can actually pull something off, which is stupid because no different in an aircraft with like MFDs. Just all the buttons are in the same place.
Enfield 1-1. Kataisi, you are cleared.
Ooh, I don't know.
Climb 300 at
Yeah, the little...
29.7.
What is that keystroke? I don't remember. I remember using that in the Harrier, but it's been a hot minute since I've flown the Harrier. I don't remember the keystroke for the, just F? F? Flashlight. Oh, left alt L, of course. Oh. Yeah. That's a really bright flashlight. I would not use a flashlight this bright. It seems wrong. I don't think it was this intense in the Harrier, unless something's changed. Anyway. Alright, that's cool. Alright, I'm way ahead of you. Yeah, it really is pretty fascinating, the type of technology, the things that it can figure out with a computer that, you know, my phone is more advanced than. Alright, so I know that we need lines. Alright. Somebody was telling me in the chat, or in the comments, to move the stick left and right instead of messing with the pedals. That is actually working. Very cool.
Enfield 1-1. Kataisi, clear to taxi to runway 7.
Here's up. That's going to L5. That doesn't seem. E1. Yeah, this thing is just fun to fly. It's fun to fly in formation. I don't know, it's weird how certain aircraft you get more enjoyment out of doing certain things than others. Like in the Hornet, it's like whatever, but in this, I enjoy it. Probably because you're just so low to the ground, everything looks cool. I love this time of day. Flying in this time of day is awesome. I feel like there we go. I do wish, maybe there's a setting, I do wish it would give you more of a heads up when your turn is coming. Like I got it, I'm 30 kilometers. But if you don't remember which way you're supposed to turn, it'd be kind of cool if something would pop up. But I guess that's kind of on you as a pilot to know that shit. Yeah, the rudder is a little twitchy. You're not wrong. Plus, I suck at calculating from metric to imperial. This is terrible goggle at the time though. It's too bright for goggles, too dark for unaided. It's always like that was always like the worst time trying to do anything tactical, but just pure flying. It's love this time of day. Nice and cool. There's no turbulence. Yeah, no, I know. It's roughly 3 feet. I don't think it's necessarily the numbers. I think it's just in my head I have certain numbers that, you know, instantly make sense to me. And I just haven't bothered to learn, you know, how to convert that or to go ahead and just establish that, you know, okay, 800 meters means this to me, or, you know, something like that. I can't fly and do math. What am I? A wizard? Also, I shouldn't bother learning a whole bunch of DCS stuff. I'm leaving in 2 weeks to go to flight school, get my commercial multi-engine and all that stuff, so I have plenty of other numbers I gotta worry about. I'm gonna have to turn my channel into a Microsoft Flight Simulator channel. Sorry, guys. Yeah, Dutz knows. Only so much math I can do. It used to be so much better though. It used to be so much better with numbers when I was flying all the time. Like somebody could read off an 8-digit grid to me and a bunch of stuff, and I could remember it, regurgitate it all back. Now I'm a complete idiot with numbers because I haven't had to do it in so long. Yes, the old Apache. I don't know, man. I'm intimidated. That's an older Apache than I flew. Not that I am a wizard anyway with the Echo, but there's some nuance there, some things that are different. And again, I haven't touched one in a couple of years, so I think everyone's expecting me to be a wizard. I'm gonna have to be in the books myself. I flew a Delta for a very short period of time. I flew the Delta in AQC, and then when I got to Hood, we still had them, and I flew them for about 6 months, and then we transitioned to the E. And then you had that weird time in the unit where you had E's and D's, so you flew a little bit of both. So yeah. And like the D's in AQC were newer than the ones we had at Hood, I think. So it was like regressing. Oh, the Apache world is it's a shit show when it comes to that stuff. Software upgrades and all this stuff. It's the constant change. We didn't have that in the 58. Not nearly as much updates and upgrades. I remember like 2 changes my whole time as a Kyle guy, and as an Apache guy, it seemed like every couple months we had to have a class on, okay, this is software update 5 and 5.1, and now it's gonna do this when you push this button instead of this. Yeah, make me smart, Duds. I'm telling you, like, when I flew Apaches, they asked me to be a PC, and I was like, really? Like, I just made RO1. They're like, oh, but you're responsible or something. So, okay. Like, you guys know I don't know that much. We're very generous. All right, 35 kilometers from the target. So I'm gonna pop up, I don't know, around 8 kilometers. Just trying to figure out the sweet spots. Yeah, it's getting there. Apache's getting there. All right. Gonna do a little boosting here, get some speed up. And so I've got to pop that up to ANF and an arm. Well, I'm not going to be gone. I mean, I'm still going to do my stuff. I'm taking all my stuff up there. Like, I don't know what my schedule's going to be like. I mean, I have some inkling. I know I'm going to be flying probably like twice a day for a while. Probably 6 days a week. But, you know, it's not military, so it's not like I'm going to be super busy. So I still plan to do stuff. Not to worry. No, I'm not leaving. I put too much work into this shit to just walk away. All right. There's... Oh, there it is. That was a little off. Maybe not. Again, it's meant for like 4 Viggens, so that did not update for me. There we go. Not through RTAG. I mean, I learned about it through RTAG, yes. Yeah, I've hit the jackpot, man. I've got career skills program approved. So if you're not familiar with that, it is not something the Army broadcasts that much, and you'll understand why when I tell you that. Like, basically, I'm staying on active duty while they just let me go do something else. So it's kind of like a sabbatical. Paid leave, non-chargeable. I have 173 days of non-chargeable leave that you can use in your last 6 months of service. The trick is you can't get paid while you're doing it, so you can't like go get a job. You can be an intern, or you can go to school like I am using my GI Bill. So. Alright, there we go. But yeah, it's gonna be like a frat house thing. I'm moving in with a bunch of other dudes like me. I guess the guy, I think he flew in 160th, but he went up there and bought a house like right by the airfield, like 5 minutes away, and is renting out rooms because it's really expensive. You know, it's in New Jersey, in Trenton, so it's pretty expensive. And I'm renting a room there, like 3 other dudes, and we're all going to school together. So. How long have I been in the military? 20 plus years. Retiring right now. In fact, I'm on my permissive TDY to retire. And like I was just saying, here in about 2 weeks, I start my career skills program leave. I'm going to head up to New Jersey and get all my fixed wing ratings completed and hopefully go get a job. That is the plan. And I do plan to maybe do like a vlog about it. I know people are interested in aviation training and stuff, and so I'll probably start another channel. I don't think I'm gonna do it on this channel just because I think it confuses YouTube and I try to do too much. So that's why I moved the podcast to a different channel. If you do like the podcast, it's at the Low Level Hell podcast on YouTube. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you should go check it out because it's a podcast I've been doing for about a year. And we have all kinds of helicopter guys talking about their experiences. In fact, I have an interview to do today in a couple hours. And then I post those on YouTube, but they're available on Apple and Amazon, things like that. I post them to YouTube a little bit later. So episode 17 just came out on YouTube, but episode 22 is going to come out hopefully this week coming on Apple. Below these clouds. I'm scared of clouds. Yeah, YouTube is sometimes confused. Yeah, War Havoc, that, yeah, sounds like GI Bill stuff. There's a good deal. I mean, military benefits are no joke. Especially for me, like I got, you know, grandfathered in. They've changed the pension a little bit, but, you know, the pension that I am going to get is pretty good. Can't complain. Was there a point where you're tired of flying in combat? Absolutely. Absolutely. Look, there's a point where you get tired of flying, period. I know that sounds strange to people who don't fly, but it is, I'll put it to here. I'll tell you a story. I got out of flight school. I show up to my first unit and, you know, I go through all the, what we call progression training, and I finally get done with progression. So now I'm allowed to fly with pretty much anybody versus just the instructor pilots. And so I'm on the schedule for the very first time, and it's kind of a buddy of mine that I'm flying with. And, you know, I was like, oh man, we get to fly next week. He's like, yeah. And I was like, how are you guys not excited about flying all the time? And he says, just wait till after your first deployment and then see how you feel. And he was not wrong. Like, you just, you know, after a couple 100 hours of doing the same thing, yeah, you can get tired of anything. You show me the most beautiful woman in the world, I'll show you somebody who's tired of her shit. Like, I mean, you can get tired of absolutely anything. So, and usually, you know, DCS kind of highlights the excitement of combat, but this right here, just flying from point A to point B, that is 99% of combat flying. Just going somewhere. Oh, I didn't drop my tank. That's what I meant to do. I'm not a fan of the paint job, though. Yep, idiot circles in the sky. And I'll be honest with you, like, I know you guys love jets. Jets are cool. I love jets too, but at least with helicopters, we were down doing work. Jet guys were up there just circling and circling and circling and circling. I can remember twice in 3 deployments where jet guys got to actually drop bombs on something. And I know they did more often than that, but I'm just saying in the 1,000+ hours of combat flying that I had in Iraq, Syria, and Afghanistan, I can remember jets dropping bombs twice. Hell, I shot my M4 at people more times than that from the cockpit. So I don't say that to disparage them, sort of, but I just say to point out, like, there is a lot of boredom in combat flying, in the type of combat flying that's currently happening. I mean, obviously, if you're going to war with China or something like that, it's probably gonna be a little bit more high adventure. Well, I'm sure that paint job works, except for the giant blue circles. I don't know. Do the trees in Sweden have giant blue circles on them? Never been there. Tyler, you're set up right now to commission as an aviator in 2 years. In the Army or where at? Yeah, 15,000 hours of airline life. And that's the other, like, thing where hours don't translate. Like, 1,000 hours in a helicopter is, to me, knowing what I know about the airline life, I mean, that actual work and doing stuff is you got to be multiplied by like 5. Okay, Tyler, in army. Well, so many things I could say to you right now. Just be prepared to not fly as much as you think you're gonna fly. And make your #1 goal, make pilot command. Tell your pilot command you are not an asset. You're a liability. Nobody needs to fly you. Once you make pilot command, then all of a sudden you're needed. Especially these days. Yeah, I'm just giving crap about the paint job. I mean, I get it, you know. Not every country's paint job can be as cool as US Army with their gray uniforms that we had for a long time. Which everyone tried to convince me is green. I'm like, that's not fucking green. That's gray. We all hated that uniform. I don't know anybody who liked it. Except from probably some fat retired general who made bank on it. This up, don't think best. Not the best turn. Here's down. Oh, I broke it. Oh, the humanity. That was too fast. Still trying to figure out my sight picture for that. Good times. In the 10-year ad so bright? Who? Oh, Tyler is? Yeah, he absolutely has to be. Goal untracked W3 PC. Who was I talking to? Was it in one of my interviews where they had like a W4, untracked W4? Yeah, I think it was in episode 21. 20. Yeah, it was episode 20. Did I have any flying experience before I went warrant? Yeah, Civil Air Patrol when I was like 15. That was about it. I kill. Got some trucks. Yeah. 4 trucks, 1 Viggen. That sounds like a perfect match. Yeah, it's a bunch of tanks and stuff. So I think what I envisioned when I made this was 2 Viggens come in with rockets and try to shoot air defense, and then 2 guys come in with bombs and drop bombs on it, but can't really see those guys. So I need to give some more intel, I guess, onto where the targets are. Let's get caught up in the chat here. Flyers don't need a zig. Yeah, the gear were down. I just hit too hard. I was going too fast. I can't chat and fly. I knew when I was turning to base that I'd been chatting too much and not paying attention to my speed. All right. Well, that mission's okay. Let's do something else. Oh, I know what I need to do. Got a Hornet mission tonight. Campaign. Need to practice my air-to-air. My target audience is anyone who will subscribe. Yeah, I like close air support. I don't the fighter stuff. Well, one, I'm not good at it. But two, even if I was, like, it's just not my cup of tea. I flew with Growling Sidewinder the other night. He was showing me some things. He's too good. He kicks my ass. But it was informative. No, I mean, I am on Twitch. Yes, not right now. I'm not on Twitch. I'm not dual streaming. That would be against the rules. Which I am an affiliate, which means really nothing. Means I get like 4 cents every 20 people that watch a video or something. Hey, Low Crapter, thank you. And thank you for having your settings so that when you subscribe, it actually pops up, because that is one problem with YouTube Live is a lot of people don't have their stuff set up to do that. All right, I tell you what I typically screw up actually is my closure rate. Let's try that. Let's see. Kesma Uni good in the JTAG role. I mean, I know what to say. Again, I'm sort of out of practice of talking like that, so I sound kind of like a bumbling idiot these days when I do it, but I mean, I've called in CAS in training, never real life. Tricker, this is YouTube. I don't know if you know. It's not Twitch. I think you've stumbled into the wrong place. But yeah, I like to do the JTAG stuff. I got to get back into it when we get to Kiowa. That's where it's gonna bring its power to DCS. It ain't the 7 rockets, 1 Hellfire. I can tell you that right now. You were subscribed before, but YouTube is being YouTube. Yeah, it's kind of screwed up the way that if that's too loud, is the game too loud? Let me check something. You guys should be good. It's a little loud for me. YouTube's got a little ways to go before they crack the code on the live stuff, because there's some things that it doesn't do right that Twitch does good. But let me get caught up. Do I think the US and NATO will be at war with China and Russia? I hope not. I don't think so. I don't know. I have some different ideas about what war looks like. Like I don't think it's. I think it's going to mature past what we sort of define war as right now. Why would I risk flying an aircraft or several aircraft somewhere to drop a bomb when I could just hack a computer and cause a factory to melt itself down, or stuff like that? Like there's other ways to project power. The problem is too, like when you have large countries who have almost unlimited destructive capability, like when is enough? So, and I think most countries know that. Tricker, the quality looks good as far as the stream. Good. Alright, so this is the part I'm really practicing, is my approach and closure. In fact, I guess I should tune them up on back-end. 5, I think. Oh yeah, I gotta hit enter. And then I gotta what? Hit tac can here. I don't think I did that right. Oh, air to air. I don't think that's right. Should I be getting some indications up here? Maybe I have the wrong code in. I can't remember what I set him to. Alright, looks like he's getting a little bit closer, so I'm gonna start slowing down. Trigger the quality improved the moment you walked in here. We need to go do some hind shit again, man. Are you F-14 savvy? I was flying one last night. I'm terrible at it. Yeah, we're gonna do a little air to air. Oh, I need to call this guy. What am I doing? See, you guys are distracting me.
Texaco 1-1. Springfield 1-1. Request rejoin. Springfield 1-1.
Does DCS allow moving instruments to a second? I think there's ways, because I've seen people set up like their iPads and stuff. There must be. Get a little closer and we'll put the probe out. We had to refuel some F-15s in Iraq last time I was there, our support guys, because they we were up in northern Iraq, and I guess one of them somehow damaged their probe. I don't know if they did it while they were refueling or it just wouldn't come out or something, but they ended up having to divert to where we were at, and our guys had to go fuel them up. So it was neat for the fueling kids. They don't get to do stuff like that. So. Yeah, Tricker, let's do it. Oh no, he's gonna turn already. Damn it. That's okay. Follow him in the turn. I'm not gonna try to hook up in the turn. Not feeling it today. I did it the other day, but not feeling it right now. Maybe. Let's fuck it. Let's do it. Oh, I hope there's an F-15E. Like, I know they're in development or whatever, and it's been in development for 1,000 years, but that is my plane. I'll be jamming out to that. That was like the first flight simulator airplane that I ever flew was F-15. What was that? For Microprose F-15 Strike Eagle? It has to be difficult to refuel helicopters. Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, I've never flown anything that could do that. I mean, I've talked to jet guys, and they say it's fairly easy. They just pop right in. And I know when I flew VR for a little bit, it was certainly easier because of the whole depth of perception. I think the worst part about this is how close you got to be before you can tell them you're ready pre-contact. I don't think he's going to accept this. We'll try.
Ready pre-contact. Return pre-contact.
Yeah, see, come on, dude. Like, what do you... I'm right here. What do you want from me? And then I got to take my hands off the throttle.
Ready pre-contact. Cleared contact.
Thank you. 29s I put out there. Nail it.
Contact.
Good chow. This is actually the hardest part for me.
Taking fuel.
Figuring out the right spot to be. And I gotta be conscious he's gonna turn right here in a second. Out of this turn. Ah. Back in there. I'm normally not this wobbly, but he's in turn and I'm just like totally anticipating him coming out of it. Kind of freaking out. I'm being really quiet because I'm concentrating. I modulate the shit out of the throttle just to maintain my position. I can never find like a good spot where I can just kind of leave the throttle alone, so I'm just constantly moving it. You know, somebody was telling me take one of the like spool down one of the engines a little bit, but I don't have that shit mapped. I don't have a fancy HOTAS throttle. That was a hell of a turn this guy's doing.
Transfer complete.
Yeah.
Disconnect.
America. Alright. Get caught up. I think the boom is super hard in DCS because the boom operator doesn't do shit. Like in real life, they move it around, hence the term operator. But in DCS, I don't get the vibe that anyone's trying to help you. Like, you just got to get the right spot. Alright. Man, you guys were talking like crazy. I gotta get caught up here. Radar off. Yeah, that'd be fine. What's the worst that could happen? Yeah, the tanker will just ignore you unless you're really close. It seemed like it got a little bit better recently. Yeah, the Harrier is not fun to refuel. In VR, I popped right in. It was crazy. But otherwise, you got to really, like, there's a little thing that pops out here, like a little light thing. And there's kind of like this angle where if the tube or the hose kind of made this angle, then I knew I was in the right spot. But yeah, not easy. Three things you like and three things you do not like about the Hornet and DCS. I don't know. I mean, things I like about it is you can do a little bit of everything. I don't have much experience in a Hornet. I only started flying it relatively recently. Pretty though. If I brought it out. Empty. And fast. You go fast. Alright, let's figure out where the carrier is at.
Altitude.
Should be southeast. I don't remember what I set the tack into. I mean, you know, I'll probably put it in a brief. Oh yeah, the tanker was 3, not 3.5. Okay. I don't know. There we go. All right, that's what I was looking for with the tanker.
Marshall 011. Marking mops 016. All 23. Angels 4.
There it is,
State
right there.
10.4.
011. Mother's weather is visibility 10 plus mile. Scattered clouds at 8,000. Altimeter is.
Will the Apache have APKWS? You know, I don't know. I think so. I can't remember. I know there was some back and forth about it.
011.
I mean, shit, we didn't get those things in real life till my last deployment a couple of years ago. They're wonderful. Yeah, the ATC. I've only just recently learned about that. I did try it with refueling. It didn't really work for me. But, probably just me. Hornet can command position. No, you're thinking of the Tomcat. I don't think you can do that in a Hornet. I mean, you can lift them up, but I don't think that's going to help you. I need to... I'm all screwed up here. I'm staring at the chat, not paying attention to what I'm doing. See, you guys are going to cause me to crash again.
011.
See you at 10.
See you at 10.
Shit, I don't remember what I mapped either.
Update state switched out.
That's my flap.
011. State
Right.
10.2.
I really need to get back into the Harrier. That's probably one of my favorite planes in DCS. Because it's another one of those aircraft where you, if you do something and pull it off, you feel like a wizard. Mainly because it's so razbammed up and you don't know you don't know if something's broken or if you're just doing it wrong. Alright, y'all don't judge my case 1 here. I don't.
011. Overhead Angels 2. State 10.
Give me a bunch of shit. Oh, you didn't,
011. Tower, roger. BRC 268. Signal is Charlie. 011.
I know. Totally cutting inside this pattern here, but it's gonna be fine. I don't do all the marshalling bullshit. Like, I ain't got time for that. Busy. Busy man. It'll all buff out. I purposely put some stuff on the deck to keep me honest, because you can use a lot of that space. Tightlines UK, thank you. least favorite part, trying to get this thing fucking trimmed out properly. Without ballooning up like crazy. Don't judge me. Now y'all are judging. I can feel it. I can feel the judgment. I can see the chat scrolling out of the side of my eye. I just want you to know that I don't care. Look at that shit.
011, Hornet ball, 9.7. Roger ball.
Roger ball.
You're a little low.
I know, Jello. I got it.
You're a little low.
Yeah. Shut up, Jello. Made it. Oh, no, 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 no. This is how we do it. You guys are gonna trip balls when you see one of these Hornet videos I'm gonna put out for the campaign we've been doing. I've been saving up some of the videos. I'm gonna release them here in a couple weeks. But pretty intense landing sequence there. You guys are gonna love it. Hell yeah. All right, let's see all this judgment, all this shade thrown towards me. It is a nice approach. Thank you, Warhavoc Gaming. It was nice. Popped right out on the ball. Lost it after that, but I can usually get it pretty close. But after that, I just default to staring at my whatchamacallit. Hi Casmo, if you had access to any aircraft in the world, what would you like to try? That's a good question. I think for rotary wing, I'd like to fly a Super Cobra, followed by a Hind. I think for jets, gosh, I don't know. I don't know what I'd like to fly jet-wise. I'd fly any of them. I mean, I grew up around Vipers. I grew up in Tampa, and they had a lot of F-16s at MacDill, so I used to see them all the time. So I'd probably like to fly one of those. A-10, of course. I'd love to fly an A-10. It'd be neat. Tricker, thank you. Will I play Microsoft Flight Simulator? Yeah, I probably will. In fact, I was kind of thinking about getting it to help me when I'm in school. Just when I went through flight school back in 2003, I used Microsoft Flight Simulator to help me procedures-wise do some things. So I think I might get it for that. I wish it had multi-crew. Tricker, I was watching you fly, I don't know, something like a DC-3 or some shit the other day, and I was like, man, it'd be so cool, like, if we could jump in there and do stuff. But yeah, I think I'm gonna get it. In fact, I'm glad you reminded me, because I probably need to get it now and just get it all set up. Is the F-18 your favorite jet? Nope, not at all. In fact, when I was a kid, I hated the F-18. because I love the F-14 because I grew up around Top Gun time, and the F-18 was replacing the F-14 in my mind. Well, in actuality, but I hated it. It's just stupid. Hey Casmo, would it be okay to make a quick tutorial procedure request? Sure. You can request anything you like, except feet pics. Why Super Cobra? I don't know. Why not? I mean, the newer Cobra, like, it's got some pretty advanced shit on it. I'd like to give it a shot. Am I gonna get a yoke? Probably not. I know I probably should, but I don't know, it seems like a lot of money. Am I gonna fly the Mirage F1? I don't know much about the Mirage. I'm gonna lose half my viewers when I say this. I'm not a huge fan of European jets. I think it's just aesthetically, I don't like the way they look. And it's fine if you guys don't like my stuff too, but so I've never really done a lot of research into them. That's why I say, like, the Viggen, I had no idea it even existed. If it does air to ground stuff, yeah, I'll fly it. If it's just an air to air, no, it's not my bag. VATSIM is great for training, ears, comms, brevity, and doctor. What are your PC setup trying to get into gaming? Well, if you check my video descriptions, it'll show you what my setup is. Radius, that's how gasps in European. Yeah, sorry. There's nothing wrong with them. It's just not my visually. I just don't like. Well, I take that back. That's not true because I like the Tornado. I think the Tornado is awesome. But as far as getting into DCS, yeah, you gotta get you gotta have a pretty hefty machine to handle it, unfortunately. Have I ever had to can we get a tutorial on how to do your I gotta let my hair grow out, man. I'm actually thinking about growing some facial hair. I haven't done that since my first deployment, 2006. I need to do it just to stick it to the man. If the F1 does ground stuff, man, yeah, I'm all over it. Have I ever had to auto rotate to safety, and if not, how do you train to do it in an emergency? Well, you train to do it all the time. Thank you for that, Tricker. Yeah, you train to do it all the time. Auto rotating is not as hard as it's certainly not as hard as I thought it was going to be doing it. But I've never had to auto rotate. I have had to do emergency landings for hydraulics. And I did. Well, we didn't have to do it. Well, we did an emergency landing, but it was a normal landing. But we started getting low rotor indications at a really bad time. Kind of freaked me out because I'd never had that happen. But, let's see, what else? Oh, you go up around Fort Knox. Yeah, there were Apaches up there for a while. I think it was our guard unit, reserve unit. I went to Fort Knox. That's where I got my tank training. I was an M1 guy for a while. See a tutorial on the basics of helicopter and fixed wing cooperation engagements. Okay, I do have a video. It might answer some of that question. It's kind of an old video. Can't remember what it was called. But basically, I played a JTAC, and I had a pair of A-10s and a pair of Gazelles overhead. So you might like that. But yeah, I think once we get proper helicopters, then I'll do more of that stuff. Because the problem is, like, with the Hind, I mean, it can't do anything. Like, it can't laze for aircraft or anything like that. So it's kind of rudimentary. But once we have a laser designating helicopter, it's going to be a different story. Yeah, I'm sure a yoke would work much better for Microsoft Flight Simulator, no doubt. Unless you're like Tricker and you fly what do you fly, an Airbus? Got a little side stick with a one red button on it. Let's see. But yeah, we're definitely gonna do more of that stuff. As far as CAS and integration and stuff. I love that shit. Some of the most fun I've had in the helicopter is working with other helicopters or other jets and just like putting them in on targets. You don't like European jets, but what are your thoughts on fixed probes? Oh, you're talking about like where they, maybe that's part of it, where they have like the probe, it's always out. I don't know, it's weird to me. But I mean, my opinion, who gives a shit? Yeah, it's on YouTube, Arrowman. I can't, like I said, I can't remember what it's called, but it's kind of old. I did it relatively early on in my channel. You're just gonna have to watch all my videos to find it. Is Helo on Helo actually a thing? No, not at all. Asmo, when you say yoke, you mean HOTAS? No, a yoke like a airplane steering wheel. Like if you get in a Cessna, there's no stick. Like kind of like a steering wheel. Yeah, the red button for the toilets. I still don't talk much about the Kiowa. I mean, there's not much to talk about. I think they're just having some hiccups. I'm not sure. Honestly, I don't know. On Draken, the jet. I don't know much about it. I probably know more about the corporation than the jet, and I don't know much about either. What is your favorite Soviet plane? The ones that burn. I don't know. I don't really have a favorite Russian plane. You like the Rhino now? More now than I did as a kid? Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, cast stuff is fun, man. I like that shit. Shooting stuff on the ground is much more fun to me than turning circles and hoping that your circle is tighter than the other guy's circle. Like, that sounds gross. I don't know. Not to sound morbid, but dropping bombs on dudes who are bad is awesome. Shooting anti-tank missiles at dudes who are douchebags is a very rewarding feeling. So do something else. Yeah, the tactics series, there's just only so much I can do, you know. That's the problem. What am I going back to flight school for? I'm retiring from the Army and I'm transitioning to fixed wing stuff. I mean, I already have my private license with like a whopping 40 hours in a Cessna, so I'm basically Maverick. But I'm going to get my commercial multi-engine and get the prerequisite hours needed for someone like me to get his ATP, which is what, air transportation pilot license. Trigger can correct me. Which is what you need to be, you know, an airline pilot, or I think a lot of corporate as well. Which I'm kind of looking at the corporate side. I mean, I'll take an airline job. Oh, Trigger, PSA got back to me finally. They said reapply in the fall because I'm too far out. I don't think I meet the prereqs for your company anyway. Like, I don't think they have a rotary transition pipeline. I'm sure there's one or two guys that make it, but I don't.
Altitude.
I remember hearing some guys talk about that particular airline and that you needed some other time under your belt. Yeah, Jason, I appreciate it. And like I was saying earlier, I think I'm gonna start a vlog about it. It won't be on this channel, but I'll definitely put some advertisements and talk about it. So, when I've got all the gear to do that, I'll just probably start here in the next week or two, start putting stuff together for it. That's a good point, Danny. I probably do have more time in a Cessna than Maverick. You plan on doing World War II stuff? So I did, man. So here's where YouTube is tough. Like, when I first started my channel, I did some IL-2 stuff and nobody watched it. It probably because it was mostly World War I, because I really like flying circus. Like, I really like flying circus. I think I'm probably the only person on the planet other than Wolfpack that likes it. But yeah, it didn't catch on. And that's kind of the thing with YouTube. Like, you get kind of put into a pocket, where my pocket is DCS, as much as I don't necessarily want it to be, because sometimes I get tired of flying DCS. But if you try to do something else, you don't get the bandwidth. Nobody's paying attention. In the Apache, can you have the bird hot while rearm or refuel? Oh yeah, always. All helicopters. I can't think of any helicopter that you can't rearm, refuel while it's hot. You have to. You have to be able to do it. It takes a while. In the Apache, especially if you're loading a gun, it takes forever. Well, the corporate flying is different than the private pilot flying. Every corporate guy I know has a pretty good schedule and makes pretty decent money. In fact, one of the guests on my podcast, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, Low Level Hell podcast, check it out. He does corporate stuff now, and he's been doing it for like 30 years. Yeah, Tricker, I need your help. That'll be good. I got plenty of time. I'm trying not to stress about it. Like, I don't need a job for like 7 months, so I don't want to overthink things. You got asked to star as Rice Man's son in the new Firebirds, would you? That's hilarious. Yeah, what would my name be though? Rice Boy? Oh yeah, we're gonna do Firebird stuff on the DCS Apache, absolutely. Checking in for algorithm purposes. Pennies from heaven, thank you. Any other good flight sims to try? I like IL-2. It's a little arcadey. I cringe to say that because I don't think it's arcadey, but if you compare to DCS, I can see why people would say it is. It's a little bit softer on the graphics, but in VR it is fucking amazing. Because it's softer on the graphics and it doesn't require as much oomph. Like, oh man. My wife hated it because before I set up the media mega center back here in my shed, I would play in the living room. And I remember some fucker wolves like shooting at me and the bullets pinging right past me and me freaking out, and she's just getting upset because I've been shot, so she gets upset if I get upset about being shot or whatever. I don't know. Like, she always, I guess, thinks I'm thinking about it or something, which I'm not. But yeah, I would try IL-2 if you haven't. What happened to your T-45 video? Yeah, so the guy I did it with, he got a little stage fright about it, I think. I think some people were giving him shit because, you know, he's a real Navy pilot. So I took it down just to alleviate any drama he might receive. So. Can you play DCS on Xbox? I don't think so. Your Xbox would probably melt. Yeah, Duts, let's do it. Actually, Duts, I do want to. I was talking to Happy the other day. I do want to do like a dogfight video. I want to do like a hind versus a shark. Just for stupid reasons. Definitely do that. Yeah, I tell you what, I like the tanks in IL-2. I haven't done it in a long time. I bought it when it first came out and I played with it for like 2 weeks and then I just got too busy. Wolfpack 345 and I did some stuff just on our own. If you don't know who he is, definitely go check out his channel. He does a lot of IL-2 content. But, you know, I used to be an M1 guy for 3 or 4 years. I was on Abrams. I like tank stuff too. Bernard, I'm not, man. I'm telling you, I'm not working I'm on a 20-second delay from you guys, so that's why you probably think I'm answering questions that haven't been asked or something. Favorite episode of the podcast? Well, I mean, there's quite a few good ones, and I'm not just saying that. Like, there really are ones that I'm like happy with. But I of course I have to pimp episode 16, which is with Hugh Mills, who is the author of Low Level Hell, which was kind of the inspiration of the podcast and really a lot of what I've done. So he was gracious to come onto the show. In fact, I was his first podcast, which was surprising to me. But yeah, check that one out. And I'm saving one for season 2. It's the corporate guy I was just talking about, but he was in Vietnam, and that was really good. We just recorded it probably a week or 2 ago, so I'm probably gonna sit on that till October. Yeah, I want to do some combined arms and IL-2, even though that wasn't really a thing back then, but it'd still be cool. Would you like to do dogfights with, I don't know who that is, Ate? Oh, is that the French guy? No, I'd get my ass kicked. I've dog fought Growling Sidewinder. He kicks my ass every single time. And he'll take it easy on me and still kick my ass, but he's teaching me some things. He's good. He's very good at what he does. Anyone who thinks that that guy's full of shit and he sets up like can't lose scenarios doesn't know what they're talking about. He's a good dude. I like him. He has my seal of approval. A third-party developer for DCS for tanks. Yeah, DCS is definitely not the right environment for tanks. Tanker on M1s in real life. Yep, I was on M1A1s. I was a tank commander. I commissioned in the Army as an armor officer originally back in 1999. And yeah, that's how I started my career. It's on tanks. I did tanks, and I was a mortar platoon leader, so I had 120 millimeter mortars on tracks. And then I'd always wanted to fly, and just honestly, I didn't study hard in school. I had shitty grades, and I mean, the Army was like the only people to take me, so I joined the Army and found out I could be a warrant officer and fly, and said, okay, shit, I'll try that. So I resigned my commission and became warrant officer, and that's how I got into flying. So. I guess Steel Beasts is a good tank simulator. I've never played it. There's so many games I want. It's a limit of time. Like that's my limiting factor, is how much time do I have to actually do shit. So otherwise, yeah, I'd get it. But I know that I'd get it and probably never touch it. You crewed CH-53s in the 80s. My wildest emergency landing. My wildest emergency landing was losing hydraulics at night in Afghanistan. We were about 10 miles from the airfield. We've been flying for about 4 or 5 hours, and we were just finishing. Like, I was literally turning to head back to the airfield. I was number 2, and I heard this whistling sound for a second, just for a second, and then suddenly my controls kind of fidgeted in my hand, and in the 58 it would, we call it bong. You would just hear this bong. And you knew something was up, so you look down. I looked down at my screen, and it said hydraulics fail, or whatever it used to say, and which was pretty uncommon. And so we were under goggles, up near Ternkout, which, to put this in context, you never, ever practiced landing hydraulics off under goggles. And the last time I had actually flown an aircraft with actual hydraulics turned off was in flight school about 10 years before that. So. To add to that, the airfield that we were at was a dirt runway. And it had a paved, tiny little runway next to it that was a UAV strip. And it had arrestor cables on it. And so flying a 58, we had skids. And we had always had this conversation like, what are you going to do? Are you going to land on the dirt runway and run the risk of grinding the skids into the dirt and flipping over? Or are you going to land on the UAV strip and run the risk of catching the arrestor cables? And so I had just happened to drive past this runway a couple days before. It was a really small base, and but I actually paid attention this time as I passed it, and so I knew kind of where the arrestor cables were. So we flew back, and my wingman, you know, he's more panicked than I am, and in fact, he told me later he thought I was kidding, because I said, well, I just lost hydraulics, and there was this long pause on the radio, and he goes, are you kidding? I'm like, nope, I'm not kidding. So we flew back, and he's calling tower for me and stuff, and I'm trying to get set up, and I crash rescues out there, you know, and we're under goggles. It's a completely unlit runway, so it's just this pitch black hole in Afghanistan, and crash rescues out there, and I'm like, dude, tell them to turn the lights off. I can't see anything because it's just washing out my goggles. So they turn off all their lights. I've got like this long ass B-52 traffic pattern. I'm coming in from like a 1 mile. And trying to get my speed right, because you got to just grind it on. And so we shoot our approach to the runway, and I'm trying to keep it above like 40 knots, because below 40 knots, the tail rotor becomes an issue, and without hydraulics, it's kind of hard to move it. So, so we grinded onto the runway and missed the arrestor cables, but all the smoke and sparks and shit fly by us and stuff. So that was pretty intense. And then there was the time I got shot when I was bleeding all over the place, but I can't take credit for the landing because the other guy landed. I just sat there and bled. And then we did lose hydraulics in Afghanistan. Before that, I was with another guy, and we were flying around Kandahar, and we had to land on Kandahar, which is a huge runway, and we shut this runway down, like completely shut it down. And there was a C-17, no, I'm sorry, a C-5, I think, and there's some Harriers waiting to land. And so the Air Force guys come out running the runway, and they're like, hey, can you know, we need to get this aircraft off. And we're trying to hook it up to this little trailer. We're like, yeah, we're working on it. We're trying. He comes back out. And he's like, okay, the C-5 is diverted, but the Harriers are coming in. So to put some context, about a week or two before this, and you've probably seen this video, a Harrier pilot ejected while landing, and his aircraft turned into a ball of fire and burned up. That Hulk was right next to us, like where we landed. So now they tell us 2 Harriers are coming in, and all we can think of is a week before this Harrier getting balled up. So these Harriers shoot their approach right past us. I mean, they flew right over us, and they are so loud, as you can imagine. And they landed, I don't know, 300 meters past us. They just shot their approach right over us. That was kind of interesting. All right, I've been talking a lot. Get caught up. My longest friend in Steam is Tank Commander in Swedish. Okay, cool. I have not played Steel Beast. Huey, yeah, man. Tanks are fun. I love tanks. There's just so much power. You can't describe to somebody like 4 M1s racing across the field, just hauling ass. Oh, it's awesome. Boner time. Yeah, Aeroman, if you like Fighter Pilot Podcast, I mean, honestly, and I think I told Jello this because I talk to him every now and then. We're kind of partnered with them. Like, we've all created this consortium of podcasts between him and Rain over at the Afterburn podcast, which I've had him on my show and I've been on his. But Fighter Pilot Podcast is probably one of the reasons I started my podcast, because I was like, damn it, another fighter pilot thing. I was like, where's the helicopter stuff at? So I was like, you know what? I'll just do it. I had some encouragement from people to try. You should do an interview with Mikhail Grev. He flew Viggens. That's actually a really good idea. I was thinking about that the other day. I'm not exclusive to helicopters. So, like I said, I had Rain on there. He flew F-16, so. Well, it's my morning, and that's all that matters. I was in the Kiowa when I got shot. Christmas Day, 2006, over Missoula. Got shot in the right arm. And, yeah, we had to go land, and I got evac'd. And I didn't go back to Iraq till 2018. And ended up going right back to Missoula. In fact, I was flying, and this time I went back in an Apache. I was flying around, I was showing the guy I was with. I was like, oh yeah, that's where I got shot, right over there. Missoula looked very different because ISIS had been there, and the place was just completely wrecked. How loud is the Harrier down throw? Yeah, loud. That's all I can tell you. That was my craziest EP except the time I got shot. Well, that's the thing. When I got shot, like, nothing was really wrong with the aircraft, which is really strange because we took a lot of bullets. I think it was like 15 rounds at the aircraft. We were leaking fuel like crazy. They found parts of the, they found compressor blades in the combustion section of the engine. My chin bubble was blown out. Bullet that hit me actually went through the collective. I was sitting in the left seat. Yeah, but like the aircraft flew fine, so that's weird. Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about Steel Beast, no doubt. Have I ever had a chance to fly European helos? Nope. Only thing I've ever flown is a Kiowa, a Bell 206, a Kiowa, which is not a Bell 206, and an Apache. That's it. I'd love to fly a Dolphin or whatever, however they pronounce it. I love flying helicopters. I mean, honestly, if it paid better, I would look for helicopter jobs, but they don't pay that well. I'll go to the fixed wing side. I'll go to the dark side. Plus, it's a little bit more relaxing. Helicopters beat your ass after a while. I remember when I first got shot, worst months of my life. Yeah, it was, I couldn't move my arm for months. I had to go to therapy and stuff, and that was probably the worst part. It was just wondering, is it gonna be okay? You know, like, am I gonna be able to fly again? Am I gonna be able to do anything with this arm again, or is it all fun? Which, you know, it's just, you get inside your own head. There was no reason to really think that I wasn't gonna recover, but still, you feel that way. Yeah, the Red Bull stunt helicopter. That's a Eurocopter, I think. The Kiowa was a workhorse. The Kiowa was very easy to maintain, and we maintain the aircraft differently than every other aircraft. So other aircraft go through what we call phases, which basically means at a certain hour point, things happen to the aircraft. And one of those hour points, they basically just take the son of a bitch apart and like clean it out and put it back together. And as you can imagine, that takes a long time. In the Kiowa, what they did was called PPM. I can't remember, it was preventative. Can't remember what it stood for. But basically, they took a phase and they broke it up into these much smaller chunks. And so they only did tiny bits at a time. And because of that, the aircraft was never out of the fight that long. And so our operational readiness numbers were much higher than any other aircraft. And we just flew our asses off. Well, as far as the helicopters not paying well, I think, and this is just me kind of talking out loud, I think part of that comes from, you know, Vietnam era. You know, there's a lot of helicopter pilots. To put things into perspective of numbers of aircraft, a brigade of helicopters in the Army is like over 100 helicopters. A commensurate level organization in the Air Force has like 24 or 36 aircraft. If I'm calculating it correct. Put another way, when I was a troop commander as a captain, 30 years old, I had 10 aircraft. Squadron of fighters run by a colonel has 12 aircraft. So kind of gives you an idea that we have a lot of aircraft, which means we have a lot of pilots. And so now Vietnam ends, you got a lot of pilots back out on the market, and they kind of flooded the system. And they couldn't get fixed wing jobs. Like the opportunity to transition over didn't exist like it does these days. That's relatively new. So I think, this is just me talking, and I was talking to this corporate guy the other day. He kind of agrees. I think the increase in helicopter guys going to fixed wing, now that there is opportunity and now that the airlines actually trust helicopter guys, will in some cases fund them to come over, it's going to draw a lot of those helicopter jobs, you know, draw people away from them. And then I think it's going to become more lucrative. Like, people are going to have to pay more to get people to fill those jobs. So I think over time it'll work itself out. They didn't have to pay you much because they didn't have to, you know. There's no reason to. Now they do have a reason. You guys are dedicated, man. I'm not doing shit. I'm just flying around in circles. You guys are still here. Helicopter tourism. Yeah, I don't. Plus, come on, man. You know how boring that would be. Like, it briefs well. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do tours of Las Vegas. Yeah, cool. The first week, that's probably awesome. 5 years later, you're flying the same 20-mile strip. Like, yeah, no, I'm good. Why don't I use VR? Because it looks like crap in content. I can't stand watching people play VR. It just looks like garbage to me. It's all twitchy, like, you know, their heads moving around, and the depth of field just looks off. So that's why I don't. Yeah, flying the helicopters work, man. There is no really taking your hands off the wheel. I mean, you can, like an Apache. Oh, it's so good because you just put on the hold modes. That thing will stay right where you want it. You can make a ham sandwich. But in a Kiowa, it was 100% work. 100% of the time. Feet and hands, everything. Show me how to kill enemy carrier. Man, I don't know. I can barely land on a friendly one. What do you mean in VR it doesn't look like that? Of course it does. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it looks good if you're using it. It looks like crap if everyone else is watching. I know there's ways to make it not look like that, but most people have not cracked that code, and I'm probably one of them. Like, I probably won't figure it out, so I just avoid it. For content creation, track IR is just a much better choice. I mean, that's why so many much bigger channels use track IR or some other head tracker. Yeah, it looks great. I mean, I had one. I borrowed one from somebody because I was thinking about getting it, and I borrowed a can't remember which one it was. It was pretty good. The problem too, it looked great in IL2. DCS, it looked okay. It looked good in the cockpit, but it looked like crap outside. And I have a pretty beefy system, but what I mean is, air to air was beautiful. Air to ground looked like crap. And considering that most of my content is air to ground, like, I need to be able to see ground targets, and I could not reliably find, you know, tanks and shit like that. So, that's a no from me, dog. Yeah, it looks bad on video. Will you fly the F-14 in DCS? I mean, I have the F-14. I don't know how to fly it. I actually flew it last night for the first time in months, and I actually rage quit DCS because I was just tired of it. I was just wallowing around. Tricker and I were just talking about that. I'll fly with him. I don't know what my master caution is. Does it not tell you? Like, it just pops up just for fun? Like, I don't understand that. Yeah, fiddling is generally how I break stuff. That's why I don't want to mess with it. Honestly, it's kind of the reason I'm streaming today, because I was fiddling with my stream setup and from Twitch, because it's not an automatic transition at all. I was setting stuff up because I do want to start streaming some on YouTube. I have another channel that I was intending to stream on YouTube exclusively, but there's been some changes in how they think that affects your views and your ratings. There's all kinds of math. Like, if you're thinking about getting into YouTube, just stop. Just don't. Unless you just have a lot of time on your hands. But after watching some of this stuff, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna stream on my normal channel, and we'll see what happens. Any plans to do a TDAC video? I actually had the script to do a TDAC because I did those videos. It's just, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna hold off. I'm just gonna wait till we get closer in. Because the problem too with those videos is, like I was saying earlier in the stream, there's so many versions of Apaches. You know, in this version, this button does this, but in this version, this button does this. And so, like, with those videos, I was talking to a couple instructor pilots that I know, and I was like, hey, the book says this, is that right? Like, well, sort of, but, you know, so I'll wait. I mean, obviously, I'm going to do a ton of videos when the DCS Apache comes out. Okay, targets up. Good. Oh, I didn't set the fuse, I guess. There we go. Cool. Never seen that before. Uh-oh, RMC. Oh, let's see. Why hind always tends... Probably because you're pulling power too late. Charles Masters, thanks for stopping by. Have you ever flown with group missions on the public server? Sorta. I mean, I jump on the public server every now and then. I haven't much lately just because I just haven't had the time. But I was wondering what you said about YouTube. The commodification things is like a drug. But yeah, with the hind, maybe we'll jump in the hind here in a minute. Yeah, War Havoc certainly pulling in more viewers here than I normally do on Twitch. But I also think that normally I do Twitch at night as well. So the European market is out. If they're not already out now, because I said I don't like European jets. But yeah. Apache key binding tutorial. Yeah, once it comes out, I'll do something. Or once it gets close, we'll talk about it. I think everyone's kind of freaking out because there's so many buttons, and there are, but you don't necessarily need all of those mapped to your HOTAS. Like I don't think you do. What was learning to hover like in flight school? Terrifying. It's hard. Hovering's hard. How realistic is DCS from 1 to 10 when it comes to helicopters? It's a hard question to answer because it depends on the helicopter. Some of them are better than others. But overall, I'd give it a, I'd give it a I6, 7, something like that. I don't know. Okay, let's jump into a helicopter. Of course, I don't have my... I'll jump in hind. Oh well, shit! I've already been a major. Do that again. Over major. Jump in the hind. Hovering is hard because you're having to use everything at once. Your feet, both hands. And both hands are doing something different. That's why it's difficult. When you learn how to hover, looking for. I mean, you learn how to auto rotate before you learn how to hover. Because auto rotating is easier. When you learn how to hover, a lot of times, like my instructor would basically just gave me the cyclic. He's like, all right, just worry about the cyclic. I'll do everything else. And it was funky. I've heard the Huey's extremely close to the real thing. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. Never flown a Huey. I'm not a huge fan of the Huey in DCS. It's not terrible. So hovering is probably hard in DCS. Well, it is hard in DCS because you don't have your body's not telling you anything. A lot of hovering is feeling the aircraft. Like you start to feel it sink before your eyes even register that you're going down. Your body starts to feel it, right? Of course, you've got better visibility left and right, so you get a little bit better sense of motion forward and aft, and so there's just a lot of feelings that you can't get in DCS. That's why hovering is hard in DCS, but it's hard in real life too. It's kind of like riding a bike, you know, like think about the first time you ever rode a bike, probably fell on your ass. But now you can probably jump on a bike and ride it, no problem. Same thing with hovering. Yeah, Super Hornet would be cool. I like anything that's crude. I just think it's fun. I know all like the fighter pilots I know like hate the idea of having another guy in the aircraft. But I like having somebody else in the cockpit. It's fun. Does the difficulty in hovering increase or decrease as the helicopter's mass increases? No. I mean, as long as it's got commensurate level of power, which it should, it's pretty much the same. 100% though, I think it's harder hovering in DCS for all the reasons that I told you. Like, we would do these drills, not a good place to do it, but that's a terrible place to do it. If I can find us something. Turn about the nose and turn about the tail. Basically, you point your nose at something and hover around it and keep your nose pointed at it. Kind of easy to do in real life. It's kind of hard to do in DCS. And then hover about the tail is the same thing. You just basically point your tail at something and then hover a big circle around it and keep the tail on it. I cannot do that in DCS, but I can do it in real life. So, perception. Huey coming into ground effect. Yeah, that's what I don't like about the Huey. You pull it up, you go below 40 knots, and suddenly she just stops. I think the Hind has good inertia and momentum. I think the Shark does as well. The Hip is a little extreme, I think. So whoever was asking about the yaw, here's what I think you're doing. I've got the collective down, and now I'm like, oh, I'm too close to the ground, and I'm going to pull it up real hard, and my yaw gets a little bit crazy. That's probably what you're doing, if I had to guess. So I want you to pay attention to my collective up there. Let me get back up. Alright, so I want to land by those trees. Yeah, I'm taking the collective out, starting my descent. Now watch my collective. As I've got a good descent rate, take a little bit. Right, I'm slowly starting to pull it back in. Okay. Because I know at a certain point I'm going to need more collective. Take a little bit out just because I'm ballooning up. But the point is, you're not going to wait till the last second. You're going to, as you can, start bringing the power in. Because at some point you're going to need hover power. You don't want to suck it in at the last second. So I'm going to start bringing it in slowly, bringing it in slowly, bringing it in just a little bit. I haven't flown this thing in a while, so I'm a little out of practice, but you just got to understand that at a hover, here we are hovering. Look at my collective position. Okay, so it's up at the top of that. Oh, I have my brakes on. Right about there, right? All right, so let's go into forward flight and see what it looks like. I'm pulling in power. See, I've pulled a lot of power. That's because I've got to slip the bonds of Earth, take off, and then once we get to cruise, I start taking power out. So that's where we are hovering, right about there. I don't need that. Look how much lower my collective is, and I'm still flying forward. Right, so you've got to make that mental transition in your mind of, I'm going forward, but I'm using less power. I want to stop, but my collective needs to be up here. And so it's all about transitioning those controls. See, I'm pulling the nose back, so I'm trading that airspeed for altitude to mitigate the fact that I've got my collective bottomed out. Right, so it's just this sort of balancing act. Slowly starting to bring my collective in. Over time, just trying to cheat back up to where close to where I need to be. That way when I get close to the ground, already at my hover power. Go. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Put my gear down like a noob. Yeah, but hovering about the nose and hovering about the tail is hard. Sight pictures. Probably because my fan's not on. The idea is that you would point at something and then just fly a big loop around it. obviously without getting too close to it. Ugly in DCS. I'm gonna try to do it about the tail. Ugh. I'll die. Anyway. Oh. Hey, happy. Yeah, I was doing Hornet and Viggens stuff. I was working on the mission that I want us to do at some point. Will you play P3D? I don't know what that is. War Havoc, absolutely, 100%. People don't understand landing a helicopter is a slow process. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. You can't just, I mean, you can, but you got to be really good at it. You can't just bang it in there. Yeah, Bernard, exactly. So in Vietnam, right, because one, you have experienced pilots, and two, you don't want to be on the ground any longer than you can. So you're gonna, yeah, you're gonna fly in there fast. You're gonna pull it back up on its tail, and I'll crash doing it because I just haven't practiced. But it's harder to do because that's one of those times where your body really helps you out, and your crew chief's hanging out the side. But yeah, you're gonna come in a lot harder, a lot faster. Okay. I'm not an assault pilot, so I don't practice that crap. I only land at the fart.
Отказал генератор.
Pull up too much rotor. Or pull up too much collective, which lowered the rotor, which then caused the AC generator to kick off. If you find what you hover at, leave that power, you can take off, cruise, and land. Yep. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, and Dutz knows this. The part that's missing from DCS is that none of us ever do any performance planning. Right? When's the last time you tried to figure out what your hover torque is? You know? But that's stuff that we do religiously. You wouldn't take off without knowing that stuff. So. Find hovering is easier with Chakire than VR. That's interesting. I think it's probably easier than in VR. Anyway, I think people always ask me which helicopter feels the most like a helicopter. Honestly, before the Hind, I said the Shark because I felt like it had the momentum, but I feel like the Hind feels the most like a helicopter. How do you deal with all task saturation while flying? You have a crew member. I mean, I would have somebody up front doing a lot of stuff. That's kind of the problem with the Hind. There's only so much you can do in the front seat, but like in an Apache or a Kiowa, the other guy can do pretty much everything that you can do. I mean, the only thing you can't really do in the Apache front seat that you can do in the back seat is like turn it on, switch some of the lights on, and squirt the laser. I mean, pretty much, you know, obviously there's a few other things, but the point is there's a lot the front seater can be doing for you while you're flying the aircraft. Oh. Let's see, what else? Yeah, 10 to 15 knots. I mean, that's not fast, you know. The term you hear is brisk walk. You want to come in at a brisk walk. Seen those assault landings with helicopters swing around and use the body to slow down more. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That is a skill set. Are you a fan of the Super Hornet? I guess. I mean, I don't know. I don't know enough about the Hornet, the family of Hornets, Super Hornets, and Growler Hornets, and Yeah, I'm not a Hornet fanboy. But yeah, a typical, like, people getting into DCS flying helicopters, 100% what their problem is doing is just trying to land too fast. Because again, they are used to jets, so they think that, you know, this is a good speed. And then they come in and they're like, okay, everything's cool. And then you start getting about here and you're like, well, wait a minute, I'm going too fast. This doesn't seem right. All right, and they probably pull up on the collective because they freak out. So then it just goes downhill from there. I control your airspeed. Too much. Generator. Yeah. That happens. Oh, I picked the wrong guy. What I had. Yeah. Oh, there we go. The other thing that Russians don't seem to do is have torque the way that we do. So, like, you know, Dutz knows his torque, right? He knows that, okay, if I want to hover, I'm going to be at 70% torque, or, you know, whatever the number is. The only thing that I have found that helpful is the rotor pitch. I kind of pay attention to rotor pitch for certain things. Ground taxi, this thing works so much better than the Shark. The Shark is crap. You just start sliding around, and I hate it. This thing, pretty good. Feels good. That was probably the hardest transition for me going from Kiowas to Apaches is ground taxi. Because, you know, we just picked up to a hover and went wherever we went, but with the Apache, you got wheels. So let's look at rotor pitch. I'm gonna pick it up to hover. Let's see what we're pulling on pitch. All right, so it will like about 9. All right, so about 9 on our pitch. All right, let's go over here and we'll do a rolling takeoff. You can see I'm pulling about 2 to get it going. You can really drop it back down. The momentum will stay there. Just pushing the cyclic forward, working the pedals a little bit to keep me on axis. We're getting a little fast. I'm going to pull the cyclic back, pull the blades back, but I haven't touched the collective. Now, you typically don't hover taxi in the Apache just because it blows so much air around. Turn. All right, so we pulled 9. Let's see what we can get away with at 7. We already know that 7 is not going to hover. Not enough power. Hold the brakes. Start pulling into 7. Alright. I'm gonna hold it at 7. Cyclic is forward. Holding at 7. Hand is off the collective. That way I'm not tempted. I'm just pushing a cyclic forward. Way forward. Now I'm gonna bump it back. Ew, a little bit too much. And we're airborne. A little bit too much on the aft cyclic, but you can see that we just kind of popped it up in the air. We never went above 7. So I just kind of show that to demonstrate the difference between power required to do different things. Can the Apache be operated with one person like the Shark? No, not tactically. Not really. Certainly not to use it to its full extent. I mean, you could fly it, you could shoot rockets, you could shoot the gun, you couldn't shoot the Hellfire. So yeah. Shit. Instructor pilots, warrant officers are the ones that hang on the numbers. I don't. I'm just showing it to demonstrate. I'm terrible with numbers. No, that's not correct. It's not designed to be able to do everything from either seat. You can't use the laser. You can't operate the TADS as a sight. So you can't start the aircraft from the front seat. You can't turn on the anti-collision lights from the front seat. So no, it is decidedly a two-person aircraft. Oh. I mean, the Kiowa was the same way. You couldn't operate the sight from the left seat. I mean, I guess you could theoretically reach over from the right seat and do stuff, but oh, tell me which book, please. I bet I already know which book. Just tell me which book. Another thing you can do is just kick it out of trim if you can't see right. Sideways. Is it Macy's book? Ed Macy? Seems like anytime anyone says something that's wrong about the Apache, it seems to come from that book. I don't know why. I've never met him, never talked to him, but I've never read the book. Maybe people are just misinterpreting things he says, but the whole being able to read two books at the same time or some shit. Yep, there you go. Boom. Called it. I don't know. Absolutely cannot. Anyway. Yeah, see, I can barely fly and read the chat. Now, I think people read into that book that your eyes move independently, because it sounds like he sort of hammed that up. People get too hung up on the whole IHADS eyepiece, HDU. I mean, if you flew the A-10 or the F-18 in DCS, you've already kind of done it. Like, it's the same concept. It's just an eyepiece in your head or in your eye. And then the sensor is off on the nose. You don't have to use your other eye to look at the gauges while at the same time moving your head and your first eye to look outside. Like, it doesn't work that way. No one could fly Apaches if that's what was required. Is that what it says on the book cover? I guess. Elite. Oh, he's got to be elite if both of his eyes can go opposite directions. I don't know anybody who could do that. Yeah, Firebirds I think also confused it, because I know I was certainly confused. They don't describe it very well. Here's what you're trying to do. At night, and only at night, are you looking outside? So everybody just close your left eye. Close your left eye. And this is what you're seeing from the nose. You're just looking around with your right eye and you're just seeing stuff. Well, let's say you wanted to look inside at something real quick. Well, just turn your head and look with your left eye at something. Meanwhile, your right eye is looking like through the aircraft, right? So right now, my left eye would be looking at my speed gauge. My right eye would be looking at whatever the sight's pointing at outside. And it's a matter of you focusing your eye. So if I wanted to look at what's outside right now, I would just change the focus of my eye to my right eye. But now I want to look at the speed gauge. I'm going to change the focus of my left eye. I'm not looking at two different things at the same time. I'm not focused on two different things. You know what I mean? And I think people think that that's what's happening. It's like, oh, I'm looking over here with this eye, but I'm over here looking at this eye. No, that's stupid. It doesn't make any sense. It's all about focusing your eye, and that's the challenge. And that's why they put you in the bag, which is when they basically cover the entire canopy. Everything here that you can see out of would be black because they put a bag on it, basically. Hence the name. And you can only see inside, and you can only see through the sensor on the nose. So, anyway. I don't remember how to set the emergency brake. Have one? I don't remember. Oh well. Panties on your head. Yeah, absolutely. The panties on your head is a staple of the Apache community. I can't imagine that the British Army changed their helicopters that dramatically. Because that means they had to install a TDAC to the back seat. So not to be a dickhead, but here's my opinion, because I've heard about Ed Macy's book 50,000 times. I should probably just go read it, that way I can know. One of two things has happened. Either he's full of shit and he's hammed it up for the book, possible, or people are just misinterpreting what he's saying, also possible. I tend to think people are misinterpreting because I just don't want to believe that he's that big of a douche. But now I feel like I gotta read the book. I'm just gonna read the book, and then I'll let you guys know if he's a douche or not. And you can think I'm a douche, that's fine too, I don't really care, because I'm not lying about anything or exaggerating. Dutz is here. Fucking Dutz just finished flying Apaches at Rucker. Dutz, has anything I said gone over the line? The nightmare selection process. Okay. I mean, sure, I guess if you only have like 20 of them in your country, it probably is a little bit harder to get into. I'm not going to disparage that because I don't know the selection process, but yep, eyes move separately, absolutely. Yeah, you're changing the dominant eye on the fly. That's exactly what it is. You're just changing eye dominance as required. That's it. That's all it is. He does actually say he recorded himself flying and he saw both eyes moving independently. Does that pass the common sense test? I mean, does anyone think that that's possible? Or I should say, does anyone think that that is possible in the sense that that would be a requirement? How many Apache pilots are in the US Army? Plus the Dutch Army, plus the British, plus India has them, plus Saudi Arabia has them. So all those pilots are required to have their eyes move independently. How do you learn that? Where do you go to school for that? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, maybe you're genetically, like, I've never heard of that. Somebody Google it. I've never heard of someone being able to really do that. I'm sure someone somewhere in the Himalayas can or some shit. But that is, if he can do that, it's because of a reason that has nothing to do with the Apache. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. It's all about eye dominance. It's not about eye control. It's fucking stupid. Now you guys get me all worked up. This is just dumb. Doesn't make any sense. No, I know. I know you're just saying what's the book, but I'm just telling you as someone who has to hear about that book all the time, and people kind of quote it. Like, it just, I don't know, it's frustrating. I don't know. I've never read any books about the Apache, honestly. I don't read a lot. Anyway. Nope, I'll read it. Fuck it. I'm gonna go buy it right now on Amazon. I'm gonna read it, and then I'll leave a review. I mean, I want to think that it's just being taken out of context. That's what I really hope. I really hope that it is. But I could be wrong. He probably said you can operate it from both seats, but I assume the meaning operate. Right. You can absolutely fly it from the front seat. You just can't start it. I mean, literally, there's no fucking engine You can't turn on the APU. You can't start the engines. You can't flip the lights on. And from the backseat, you can't operate the TADs. The only way you can operate the TADs is as your eyeball. So it's in sensor mode, not sight mode. You can't operate it. You can't shoot the laser. And I guarantee the British didn't like, well, we'll just add a TAD. Where are you gonna put the TDAC? It's huge. So I'd be very surprised to learn this. Jungle Jim, thanks for joining in. Yeah, it got heated. Daddy hit mommy at the dinner table. It got all awkward. Speaking of mommy's hitting daddies, if I don't go inside and start adulting, I'm probably going to get in trouble. So I think we're going to close it up here. I appreciate you guys jumping in. I haven't streamed on this channel ever that I can remember. So I do appreciate you guys joining, and it was fun. I'm on Twitch as well, so if you're a Twitch guy, you can find me on Twitch, Casmo TV. I will stream here more. Check out the podcast, Low Level Hell Podcast. It does have its own channel, but it's also available on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, some other places.